The following is a production of ProDubShuns.com.
Walk and roll life.
Hello and welcome to Walk and Roll Live. I am Doug Vincent, along with Eric Aguilar. I'm a polio survivor, crutch user for years, and transitioned into a wheelchair over the last 20 years or so. Eric, how you doing?
How you doing, folks? I'm Eric Aguilar. I have cerebral palsy, I'm hard of hearing, and I'm a walkie stick user. What's happening with you, Doug?
Nothing much. You know, probably the big highlight from the last week is I kind of fulfilled a little bit of a dream. I got some new broadcast furniture that an organization that I used to work for was moving, and so the old furniture, I reached out to them and said, "What's happening with that?" And they said, "We're just gonna, throw it away. Really, it won't work in the new place where they're." I said, "Can I have it?" And they said, "Yeah, got to be here on a certain day and tear it down and take it with you." So I got some buddies together, and that was a few months ago, and finally got it installed yesterday. So we are coming to you from the new Studio One of Walk and Roll Live. Yeah, so I'm very excited, and got a couple of other new toys, and got rid of a lot of equipment. There's new technology out there that's kind of incorporating things in smaller and smaller boxes, and it does more and more. So it's incredible. So yeah, that's the highlight of my week. But other than that, just kind of lay it low. Nothing, kind of routine, nothing worth talking about. How about your week?
My week has been doing pretty good, pretty quiet. I graduated from the leadership and management school for the Coast Guard Auxiliary 2 Sundays ago. And in just about a couple of sessions, I'll be graduating also from the Self-Advocacy Leadership Academy that's run by the Los Angeles office called the State Council of Developmental Disabilities. Now I came about with that as my leader from the statewide Self-Advocacy Network that I'm a part of in Sacramento virtually recommended me to that particular academy.
Well, you know what we say to all that? We say, congratulations, and gotta have a little cheer for you. Good job, buddy. Good job. Oh, you know what else? I recently acquired a firearm, and I got it as a gift. But I went to a shooting training over the weekend, and I didn't realize. I kind of just misunderstood, what the whole thing was about. And they did a great job. But they provided the pistols that we shot. So I took mine thinking, I was thinking it was going to be more of a class of, kind of how to take care of your firearm, how to clean it. I got a cleaning kit and all that, and, how to handle it and how to load it and just all those different things. But no, they didn't allow outside guns that they weren't able to check out, for safety purposes. And that makes perfect sense. We just didn't understand. So, but they provided all these different firearms that we were shooting. And so I had a good time. And that was through Triumph. Thank you to Triumph Foundation. They put that together. And so, yeah, it was a lot of folks in our community there that, some first timers and some others that, had done it for a while. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to, kind of finding that class like I was looking for and taking that and learning how to shoot my own firearm now. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. Anything else?
It's the same way with me when it comes to archery and axe throwing. They're not only both very good and respectable and popular sports, but they're also a good skill to pick up.
Yeah, a lot of discipline. So much goes into it. It's I guess especially if you're going to be a responsible gun owner. Thank goodness for the coaches. They had what they called coaches, and we went, and we would kind of rotate every 30 minutes and go with a different coach and, drilling all those things into your head, how to hold it and, how to make sure you don't put your finger on the trigger. And it's hard to get into your head. It's just kind of natural. So, you want to put your finger next to it and not on it. So I think by the end of the 3 or 4 hours, I think I was starting to finally get that as a routine. One of the coaches was telling me, he says, if you watch me sometimes, even when I'm making a fist or something, I'll keep my finger out because it's so, it's so ingrained in me, to keep that finger straight.
Yeah, speaking of firearms, I remember my experience practicing with the firearm, but the difference was instead of shooting live ammo, we did simulators. It was during my tour at the academy. It was part of the Citizen Informational Academy I attended a while back when I first got involved with volunteering with the local PD. And what's really cool is that you get to actually talk to the simulator while using the firearm at the same time. And in the simulator, there was a guy, holding a hostage, and I was pretending I was aiming the firearm, and I said, "Put it down." And he was talking to me. He was talking back like it was a real snare.
Yeah, very nice.
Put it down. And so I fired 3 rounds in the simulator. One hit the bottle. One right past the hostage's armpit, and then the third one got the suspect right in the chest, bullseye.
Put him down. Yeah. I got to do that. There was an open house at one of the local sheriff's office, and they had a simulator, and you go in there, and man, it's real, isn't it? It's amazing how you're looking at a screen and you're looking at a situation, and they're presenting people, and you've got to make a decision, good guy or bad guy, in like an instant. Yeah. So the first one, I wasn't prepared, and it kind of got by me. But then the second one, yeah, he didn't fare so well. But man, your heart rate is just pounding because that scenario, you put yourself in a dark room, you're presented with a situation, it becomes very real in your mind. Yeah, absolutely. So today, speaking of which, we have a guy with a military background. He kind of was available last minute, thank gosh, because I was kind of having trouble. I had a few people lined up, and then there were conflicts, and they couldn't come this Tuesday. So my friend Jon Hemp was there for me, and bless his heart, he had a lot going on this week, and so he had to kind of carve out a few minutes yesterday, actually. So we've already got the interview in the can. So this will be the first time that you're hearing it, Eric. But good guy, and in full transparency, I've known him for years and years and years. Actually, he was one of the first interviews that I did when I took over the community affairs program at the radio station. I was looking for somebody, and the gal that had been doing the interviews before said, this guy was one of my interviews. He was really good, and it's probably coming up time to do him again. So you'll see this in the interview. He likes to talk. So there's, you just ask him a question and sit back for a while. But so we'll get him on. I think we're going to do it in 2 parts as well. But a great story. And he's been a great friend over the years. We've gotten very close. We go to coffee all the time, and they've even kind of taken me into their dog handler family. He's a former military dog handler. So we go out for a dog's night out once a month for dinner and that kind of thing. So yeah, good guy. So we'll talk to him next, right after this, from the Aguiar Professional Training Studio.
We'll be right back, guys.
Introducing Aguiar Professional Training, where we believe your greatest asset is your team. Investing in their development, knowledge, and happiness is crucial for the success and growth of your business. To reach new heights, you need to hire smart, talented individuals and empower them to work in their areas of strength and passion. At Aguiar Professional Training, we're dedicated to helping your employees become happier, more productive, and fulfilled, because when your team thrives, your business thrives. We can help your workplace work better. We offer customized workshops and one-on-one coaching to help teams and leaders build trust and have better communication. We also offer strategic planning sessions, among other services. Elevate your team with Aguiar Professional Training.
58-year-old Vietnam veteran.
You're listening to Walk and Roll Live Disability
United States Air Force, 1965 to 1969. My first tour of duty was to a wonderful place called Libya. I spent 18 months there. I was there for the show in June of 67. Came back stateside late that fall to Blytheville, Arkansas. And on the dog, I was a canine handler. I got to hump the perimeter of a B-52 pad in the middle of the winter, and the worst winter in Arkansas in 37 years, as a matter of fact. Plenty of snow. A little confused, but not terribly disappointed when I got orders for Vietnam, but I had been told, because I was a survivor of the Middle East War, that I didn't have to worry about a Vietnam tour. And when I inquired, I was sent down to personnel. Guy behind the desk asked me if I knew what the A was in my AFSC. The Air Force calls it AFSC. It's your MOS, your job descriptor. And I said, yeah, I know. That's canine. And he says, yeah, you're going. So they needed dog handlers in Vietnam. I wrapped up my personal affairs in June, July, went through pre-deployment combat training, which was kind of a laugh after having coming out of Libya. Did my pre-deployment combat training in Texas and climbed on a bird at Travis Air Force Base, and off to Vietnam I went. And I landed at Tan Son Nhut Air Base, just north of Saigon. Spent a year there. Came home with too little time to reassign me to another base, so the Air Force was very kind to give me about a 70-day early out when I turned down all of their generous options for me to reenlist and stay in country, and got back to being a civilian. Being on the dog was an incredible experience, and it's something that I've taken with me. We are all a product of our life experiences. So I think I learned early on, it may have been a good thing or a bad thing, but I think I learned early on that I got used to working on my own. Sentry dogs, which was my specialty, is one man, one dog, and 40 acres. You're not working with a platoon or a squad or a group of other people. As a matter of fact, the dog is trained that anybody but the handler is a bad guy, no matter what uniform they're wearing.
So just so we know, where are you age-wise at this point?
I'm 19 years old going into the Air Force in 65, and I'm 23, an old man coming out in 69.
And you got the rest of your life ahead of you.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be the first canine cop for the city of Fremont, California. But a couple of things happened, and the city wasn't prepared to actually make the move.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have a dog. They didn't have a vet. But the real telltale sign that they weren't prepared is when I told them they needed a dedicated squad unit for canine. They didn't understand why a dog needed his own car. But if you've ever left a dog in the back seat of a squad car for more than 10 minutes unattended,
and I've learned from you,
and you find that you don't have a rear end of your car left anymore.
Which I've learned from you. The military dogs don't play nice with others.
No,
right?
They don't play nice.
Before we go too much further, John, let me jump in real quick and just give everybody an idea of our relationship real quick. When I've alluded to it here on the podcast a couple times, but when I used to be in radio, I did a show called Community Affairs Report, and I interviewed lots and lots of people. And when I first started, I had no idea what I was doing. And the gal that was doing it before me, she was gracious enough to say, here's a good interview, as I'm, scurrying around searching for interviews. And this guy was real good. She had interviewed you before. Great. So I get you on, and I think we've been friends ever since, so that relationship has just grown. You came to my car shows, and, I just feel like I'm kind of part of the dog family.
We got a lot of history here, pal.
Yeah.
It was the welcome that we got at K-Frog and getting the word out about the War Dog Memorial in Riverside when we were hosting that event. That led to the CBS Community interview with you, which was really a major step up for us because I may not have ever thanked you appropriately. We were getting feedback from Florida and Texas and a number of other places where that was shared.
Oh, good.
So the reach was very effective. And I guess I should explain the Dogs Project. 3 old NOM vets get together in 2007, late 2007, and decided that we were going to take a barbecue to the Marine Corps dog handlers at Camp Pendleton, California. Kind of a crazy idea, but two of us were dog handlers, and one of us was a parachute packer. Lo and behold, March the 10th of 2008, we showed up at the Provost Marshal's Kennels at Camp Pendleton, and we put on our very first barbecue. It was supposed to be a one-time barbecue.
And I laugh because I know where it goes from here.
I'm looking at eyeball to eyeball, an old man with 15 to 20 young Marines. There's 40 years between us. Entirely different dog processes, but still a guy and a dog. And the generation gap disappeared, and the Air Force Marine Corps division disappeared. We were all dog.
Yeah.
Real quick. And the thought struck me before we even left that if we can do this for the Marines, Navy 32nd Street is right down the road. Edwards Air Force Base is right up the road. Port Irwin Army is not too much further than Edwards. If we can do this for Marines, we need to be doing it for the Navy and the Air Force and the Army. My two buddies thought I was absolutely out of my mind, trying to figure out, where the hell are you going to get the funds to pay for this thing, because not cheap barbecue. You do what anybody else does. You go sell ball caps and T-shirts, and on that day, the Dogs Project concept was launched, and I spent the balance. I'm teaching full time, 2 jobs actually. Daytime teaching high school, and evenings was teaching home and hospital for some of the kids that couldn't get to a classroom. And I spent the rest of 2008 constructing a calendar for 2009. And
well, you're working full time.
Yeah, we launched the Dogs Project in spring of 2009. We did 14 kennels, I think, or 9 kennels, pardon me, the first year, doing barbecues in California, Nevada, and Arizona. In 2010, we stepped up to 14. In 2011, we did 17. In 2012, we did 27. And we started doing outreach to the Eastern Seaboard and the Gulf of Mexico and the Canadian border. And so for a period of 10 years, from 2008 to 2018, I was directing a veteran-supported program to take care of the current generation dog handlers.
And you were driving to all these places.
Yeah, I wore out a few trucks.
Yeah.
In the process, and
dragging a barbecue.
The Diaz wagon, a gift from a Gold Star dad, Sal Diaz in El Paso. He says he took the parts from a junk pile, but you don't. Nice. Tune fork suspension and I mean, this thing was a Cadillac. It was almost the size of a Suburban that I dragged behind my truck for about 150,000 miles from 2013 when he gifted it to us in El Paso to taking it back to him in 2018 and handing it back to him to be used at a dog training facility that he had created in El Paso.
So it still lives on.
Yeah, it's the Diaz wagon was pretty well known throughout the country because anywhere we went, it went. And you could feed 60, 70 people off of that thing in 20 minutes. It was huge. Yeah.
So between when you got discharged and you started the Dog Project, you were a teacher all that time?
No, I was an investigator for a private investigative agency that no longer exists, Wells Fargo Investigative Services. I dabbled briefly between my Wells Fargo career and teaching in heavy engineering and construction, dabbled with some heavy equipment operation, cranes, and dirt machinery.
Gotcha.
But the 2007 conspiracy of my wife and my boss at the time sent me back to Washington, D.C. in November for my first unit reunion. I had never done a unit reunion since leaving Vietnam. And here I am 39, 40 years later, eyeball to eyeball with the guys I hadn't seen since then, the survivors. And therein, that provided the bug under my bonnet that got the Dogs Project going, basically, with Ron Carlton and good old Mike.
John, I'm going to jump in here real quick. And sorry, but at this point, and maybe people listening might be thinking, you've known this guy for 10 plus years, and they don't even know yet that we've had countless hours over coffees and dinners, and and just getting
throwing steaks at GI. On a few occasions. And
it just they may not the questions I'm asking, I don't know the answers to a lot of them. And it's hard to believe that we haven't kind of covered some of these things in all of that time, and as many conversations and the length of them that we've had. But
you and I get together, we're busy.
Most of the time. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering, because you kind of took a different tone there, and you talk about the conspiracy between your wife and your some military partner from years before. Yeah, and and it kind of makes me wonder, was there, because I was going to ask if all of that time has there been any other interactions in a professional way with dogs? No. And then my next thought now is there some PTSD in there? Is that something you talk about, or?
PTSD is a very serious issue.
Yeah.
The real disability is a very serious issue. I'm sorry that it's been diluted down to next to nothing, but like so many other things have been diluted down to accommodate people. I have a little fun once in a while when I'm asked to speak at events. If you're foolish enough to ask me to speak, you better hold on.
Yep. Like I did.
Yeah. I have used something that gets attention to the issue effectively, and I'm going to pull it on you right now, because basically we're sitting here and all calm, cool, collected, and sitting back and chilling and sucking on coffee and chatting.
Yeah.
But if I were to jump up real quick and go, I do not have PTSD, that usually throws a real wrench in the peace and tranquility in any event.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that my responses to things are always measured, always deliberate. I probably spend a whole lot of time evaluating my situation unnecessarily when nobody else is struggling with that other than somebody who has that baggage that they carry with them. My situational awareness is exceptional, but it's tiring. It's like, oh God, the radar is always on.
Always on, yeah.
Yeah, the radar is always on. We joke, you and I, of all people, I'm sure there are people who have heard me joke with you that think that I'm a very calloused, uncaring son of a bitch, okay? How in the hell can you say something like that to that guy in his condition? But you and I have also had that conversation about your condition is clear and known to you. Not a lot of surprises.
Yeah, before I met you. Yeah.
yeah. I think for those people who have all the parts, except for this in proper
pointing at his noggin.
Yeah, when you're missing the parts up here, I think life could be very, very disastrous on an ongoing basis, and I would never concur. I would never concur the 22 solution ever for anybody. It's the wrong thing to do. I do believe we have a creator, and I think we owe greatly for the gift of life that we've been given, and I think it comes with a responsibility to protect it and take good care of it. Both of us know people that have checked out on their own over the years, but then again, I may be a pampered SOB and have never really had to deal with things to the extent other people have, and so I've never been faced with that.
Yeah,
but
I try to give those folks grace,
Oh yeah, I try to cut them a little slack, and a couple of them are my bastard sons too, so it's baggage.
Yeah, it happened to a friend of mine in my own home. And I immediately forgave him as well, because I knew what he was going through.
I think fortunate, very fortunate that I've never been in that situation or found myself in that situation. Yeah. But at the same time, I think it gives you you're predisposed to anticipate disabilities that people don't typically consider. disabilities because they're not visible. They're not
Right. Yeah.
visibly physical.
And there's a whole in the disabled community. There's a lot of talk about the hierarchy of disabilities. And I am not qualified to really weigh in on that, but I've heard about it and I see it. I know what they're talking about. But yeah, so that's a subject. Maybe we can get the right people on here and maybe delve into that someday. But I'm not. I'd have to get some experts or so-called experts, whatever, people to study that. But yeah,
I think the evidence in my particular case is short wick. One, the radar's on all the time, and two, short wick. I just don't have any patience for stupid people, and it's not a prejudice that could be cataloged any other way. A lot of my bastard sons are kids of color. All of them, every considerable ethnic background and cultural background, both. I don't give a damn what color your wrapper is. I think we all have a responsibility to be good people.
Yeah.
And I don't have patience for those people who aren't committed to accepting that responsibility. I'm lucky that I've stayed out of trouble for the most part. Over the years, I've avoided some scenarios where that could have turned out entirely different. All right. But I was graced with the ability to see clearly at the time and to make the right call,
and I would imagine that you would agree with this, that you have a partner in life that is, although she's probably half your size, is probably twice your
She's twice my size. Yeah. I have a guardian angel. I have been blessed. 53 years coming up in August. I can confidently say that my station in life right now would be entirely different if I hadn't met Jenny when I did in 1970, because I wasn't heading in the right direction at the time.
Yeah.
Being in a structured environment and all, I was not headed in the right direction at the time. So, I've accomplished quite a bit in life and done things that other people don't even think about doing. Reasonably educated guy. I've probably shocked most people if they found out that I had a master's in education. That old guy is
that guy. Well, we've got some other surprises. We'll reveal here, but and enough on that subject. But I want to maybe start talking about the reason I had you on, because I've been kind of thinking for a long time, because we are buddies, and because you were tied into the other show and we've interviewed there and all of that. I've been thinking, how can I get him on? I don't want to bring somebody on that doesn't have the tie into what we're doing here. But one of the things we talk a lot about here is that everybody at some point or another is going to be disabled. God willing, you live that long, you what we call age into disability. Yeah. And, you probably fit under that umbrella, I would say.
Well, got a lot closer than I wanted to be last Tuesday. I found a quick way down the stairs, so it's, and I've seen the warning signs coming.
Yeah.
Going to be 78 years old here very shortly. And 68 was challenging. At 58, I was the challenger. I had kids that couldn't keep up. By the time I got to 68, I'd been teaching a few years, and some of the parts weren't fitting quite like they used to. Some of the cognitive was not working quite the way that it used to.
Yeah.
I think 10 years ago was the first evidence of, oh crap, what's that guy's name? I can see his face. I remember the face, but I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
And it's been downhill since then. But now I'm really surprised. I celebrate when I could put the two together,
Yeah.
And standard operating procedure anymore is when I forget things and I can't recall a name or a place or an event or whatever, or some type of identity of something that is under consideration. I said, well, give me 20 minutes. It'll show up in about.
It comes back.
Minutes. And sure as hell, 20 minutes later, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there it is.
Yeah.
The the age disability, we should all be so lucky.
Yeah.
I look back and I think I have stayed close since my reintroduction to the military canine community. Very fortunate that a guy at my age re-entering a community that I hadn't focused on or been a part of for almost 40 years and being welcomed back in immediately at age 62 and the foundation of the Dogs Project. You're also welcome back into the circle of communication where you're finding where all your old buddies went, the ones who didn't, that aren't vertical
Make it to
anymore.
68. Right.
And now at this end of the spectrum, it's no surprise on any given day, another one gone. I mean, you've lived long enough to survive your brothers twice.
Yeah.
The ones you survived in the battlefield and the ones that you survived in old age. And, I'm thinking about the old, the booze bottle. Seagram's had a blue bag on Crown Royal back in the old days with a yellow ribbon on it. And we used to take the ribbon off and put it on a button on our shirt when we were down to 90 days in country. We were short timers. That was the short timers ribbon, was the tie bag off of a Seagram's bag. And the tradition is everybody signs the bottle or signs the bag, but nobody drinks it until the last man standing. And there's probably a few of us now, late 70. I mean, if you're a Vietnam veteran, you're 70 years old or older.
Yeah.
And there's a number of us that are probably looking around wondering which one of us is going to be tilting the bottle. But
there might have been some bottles tilted already too.
Well, yeah. I actually had a major improvement in life by getting off the alcohol back in the late 90s. I just decided that I wanted a clear mind, a clear head, rather than the trouble I was heading into. So I was lucky enough to be able to make the choice then. Now, unfortunately, VA tells me I'm not allowed to have any alcohol because of the medications I'm on. Mm. And I finally got them to bend. I teased you. You're aware of my beer in 24 hours.
Yes, one.
I'm allowed one beer in 24 hours. So that's the extent of the booze on my calendar. But reaching an age where you can really appreciate the fact that you're still vertical, that I'm still mobile. I can almost navigate down a hall without turning corners early, and cause for celebration to be able to do that.
So how does family kind of impact that, or how are they supportive of you?
I think the nature of my personality, for all but the more robust, is somewhat intimidating. So there's a major step back. They're there, but they're sidelines. I'm sure they would step up if I needed help.
Yeah.
The ones who aren't intimidated by my personality, or the ones who are daring enough to slap me down once in a while, it's the term of endearment, really, that somebody cares enough about you to be with you all the time and to put up with your crap all the time. Priceless. So very fortunate for me. I'm sorry to say that I do know some of my friends and associates and acquaintances that don't have that. And life could be really tough without the circle of support and the family.
Now, I know you've had a couple of projects over the last few years. I would imagine that some of that, has helped you continue mentally and physically to some degree. And that was the car that you built.
Yeah.
By hand, yourself.
Yeah. The car actually showed up in 1997. I got a call from a friend of mine who was in the dairy business in Riverside, and he needed a favor. I had a truck and trailer and the kind of equipment at the time to move things around, including cars. and he had a abandoned automobile under a tree on a south pasture that had been discovered by the county, and they wrote him a citation. And one of the first environmental citations written by the county of Riverside. And Bob called me and wanted to know if I wanted a Firebird. And I think I told him, boy, Bob, I thought you were in the dairy business, you know. I had introduced him to Pontiac Motorsports people at the Riverside International Raceway.
Okay.
And it's something he always appreciated. They treated him with like royalty and until the track closed in '88. And he was always very appreciative of that. So he was thinking of me when he thought he saw the roof line of a Firebird under a tree, and he got a citation from the county. So I went over looking with a short window of time to get it out of there before he would actually be fined, and the county would remove it themselves. And couldn't find the Firebird, but I found a 1971 Camaro. And it was an absolute basket case. It was a total loss theft, crashed, severely damaged, abandoned, and then vandalized for I don't know how many years. The car was actually stolen in 1978. And wherever it went, it ended up in Bob's pasture in 1997 when he needed it out of there. I dragged it out on a trailer, stuck it on the ground in a lot in Pedley, threw a tarp over it and left it there. Never, ever really got close enough to start working on it until 2011. The keep or recycle decision was going to be based on floor pans. And I just never took the time to get it all out and start poking holes in the floor. I fully expected to be able to poke holes in the floor of this car. Been sitting on the floor pan and spindles and a rear fuel cell for maybe 20 years. And remarkable. Could not find a weak spot in the floor. And it was almost like this old Camaro was screaming at me, "Build me! Build me!" And some complaints from Mama about build it or get rid of it, build it or get rid of it. About the 14th time I heard that, I'm serious this time, build it or get rid of it. She wanted the third car space in a 3-car garage back.
Yeah.
I started the build and had 2 grandsons that were happy to come for a very short period, a very short window between willing to help Papa scrape rust off of an old car and chasing skirts. Did not last long.
You lost to that?
Hey, we got it started.
Good.
So 2011, we actually drew blood and got the build started. It wasn't until 2017 that I got really serious, dragged it out, put it up on jacks, and started stripping it down to nothing. 4 years from 17 to 21. Drove it to the very first car show at Lake Elsinore with window graphics on it that reads "Junkyard Dog." And you've been kind enough to introduce me to some pretty cool folks too. I think the car's appreciated. It's my version of what I thought Chevy should have done. It's certainly not Chevrolet's idea. It's about 10% Chevy and about 90% my insanity. And your question was, and finally, here we are. Your question was things that I got involved in to keep the gray matter working. This was a real challenge. I mean, I'm not a mechanic by trade. I'm not a body man by trade.
Right.
But I've got a pretty cool 1971 Camaro. It's not show stuff. You're not going to embarrass me. I can take criticism pretty well. But it's a badass Camaro.
Yeah.
And
and I know just from your stories and the guys that I've seen admiring it, they appreciate the fact that, here's a guy that, isn't a professional.
Yeah.
And when you restore a car, you're talking not just, making sure the engine runs, but, you got to get it in there. You got to straighten out the body. I'm sure the body wasn't straight. You had to, replace body parts. There's electrical that you have to deal with, all those different things that,
from bumper to bumper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a real education. I spent a lot of time watching YouTube on how not to build a car. There's some people that were great with advice that I should have listened to and didn't. Some people who were terrible with advice, and I'm glad that I didn't follow it. But it all melts down to a 2-inch dropped 71 Camaro with a 468 big block, Muncie 22 rock crusher, a Richmond rear end, rear disc brake conversion, 2-inch Eaton Detroit competition Camaro springs front and back, and it gets down the road fast enough to filter you through the seats. And that's what I built it for. It was a driver. It was never in my mind going to be a show car.
Yeah.
So, and simultaneously with the car, when the garage was too damn cold to work in or too damn hot to work in, I started a novel.
All right, let me jump in here. We're going to take a bit of a break. A car, and now he's going into writing a book. I told you he had a lot to say. So we're going to break this into 2 episodes today, and then we'll drop another one tomorrow morning, and it'll tell the rest of the story of Jon Hemp, and we'll get into some other topics as well. So stay with us, but we'll be back to wrap things up for today right after this on Walk and Roll Live, Life Limitless.
Are you ready to walk and roll into a world of inspiration and empowerment? Introducing Walk and Roll Live, the podcast that celebrates independence, resilience, and the human spirit. Join us as we journey with incredible guests who share their stories of triumph over adversity, breaking barriers, and embracing life to the fullest. Get ready to be inspired, uplifted, and motivated to conquer any challenge. Subscribe now and join the movement. Walk and Roll Live. Life Limitless.
Welcome to Walk and Roll Live with Doc Vincent and Eric Aguilar. Welcome to Walk and Roll Live with Doc Vincent and Eric Aguilar.
And we are back. What do you think?
Awesome. I got to find this one with the voice.
That's the first time Eric is hearing this. A little something we put together in the Walk and Roll Live studio with the studio band.
Yeah, it reminds me of my talent scout days. Maybe when I hear something or a sound I like, I'm like, what is that? Where's that sound coming from? I'll find it.
She's singing your name, Eric.
No, man.
Oh, very good. Very good. All right. So as we can bring that down in the background, what do you got coming up this week?
What I got coming up this week, so far, it's a very quiet week for me.
All right. We'll enjoy.
No.
What?
Let me take that back, Doug.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I'll be hanging out with the Coast Guard Auxiliary in Riverside. We'll have like an information booth, and our job is to get as many new recruits for auxiliary as we can.
Awesome. So where's that going to be?
It's going to be located at a location in Riverside County. I'll be there a couple hours a day, and then on Friday, I'll be helping out during Fleet Week in San Pedro.
Okay. So in Riverside County, that's a big county. Can you be specific where it is, and maybe we can send people to see you?
I wish I knew the exact location. All I got is that it's out in Riverside.
Okay. All right. Well, tell us next week where you were and give us all the stories. All right. Well, we had Lighthouse for the Blind on in San Bernardino. It's been a couple of months ago now, I think, and they talked a little bit about a car show that they've got coming up and a golf tournament as well. So all that information, their flyers are on our website on the events page, and if you click on them, they'll link you through to their page, and you can sign up if you're interested. And if you have an event or show or anything like that, pass it along and we'll promote it as well. If you have any ideas for a guest, if you are a guest who thinks you have a compelling story, we think you do too, and we would love to share it here. So come on over. And if you're looking for resources pertaining to your disability, we have resources on our resource page. It is growing all the time. I've been adding some new ones here recently, so check that out. And next week, we have no idea again. I'm working on a few guests and see if we can get them nailed down in this week. But we won't disappoint. We'll be here next Tuesday around 3 o'clock in the afternoon Pacific time. All right, any closing thoughts, Mr. Eric Aguilar?
I'd just like to say thank you so much. Take care of yourself and each other.
Thanks for listening. I'm your host, Doug Vincent, from the Aguilar Professional Training Studio. This has been Walk and Roll Live. Life Limitless.
Walk and roll life. Life's the best. Walk and roll life. Life limitless. And I love the sense. Keep time alive, won't you do every time? That digital time where voices unite. Walk and roll life, a guiding light. A platform vibrant, a beacon strong. For the disabled community to belong. Shared narratives weave, stories untold. In conversations, deep hearts unfold. Healing finds home, camaraderie's embrace.